All right, today we're going to be talking about 12 gauge versus 20 gauge. And I understand, like, the easy way to handle this topic is just set up a bunch of targets and shoot stuff and see what happens. Now that does have its value, but it's lacking the depth. If you really want to understand this topic, you've come to the right video because we're going to break it down piece by piece and go over it. But don't forget to shop at OnlyTacticalFans@Shopify.com, permanently demonetized on YouTube, and I do sell a bunch of survival gear there, like tourniquets. And remember, for under $50, this is probably the cheapest peace of mind you can get. This can handle a wound that would normally kill somebody and allow you to get them to the hospital. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for your center chest, but when we're talking about firearms and stuff, if you blow off your hand, you're bleeding hard. This will get you to the hospital. Same with the leg. So, generally we're wearing plate carriers anyway, and that's why the tourniquet is the next big piece to that. This is your EDC style, very small. This will fit right in your 9mm magazine pouch, right inside your pocket. Boom, not a problem. But anyways, let's get on to the topic. All right, so we're looking at 12 gauge versus 20 gauge, and first you have to look at POU. That's philosophy of use. Yes, I stole that from Nut and Fancy. Anyway, so the shotguns can do a lot of different things. That's what makes them awesome, is the different ammunition, what you can do with it differently. So you got hunting, deer, or other medium to big game, hunting birds, waterfall. There's a whole bunch of different bird kind of hunts you can do. I've never really got into bird hunting except for shooting pest birds out of a barn, so that's as far as my bird hunting really goes. Home defense, now I put that in a different category than outside the home defense. So for me, I don't see anything a shotgun can do when it comes for outside home defense that an AR-15 can't, except for get around some state laws. So if the laws don't prohibit it, myself, I would not use a shotgun for outside the home. If I'm going out the front door, I'm grabbing an AR-15. That's just the way it is. But for inside the home, the kinetic energy you can put on a target and not have to worry about maximum overpenetration is amazing. It's something like 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. To get that out of a rifle, I got to be shooting like a 300 PRC, which is going to blast through the target, blast through all my exterior walls, go into the neighbor's wall, kill the neighbors, and then kill their car as well. So if you want to dial that back, but you still want the hard-hitting kinetic energy, a shotgun's a way to go. Plus, you're talking about the kinetic energy is dispersed. I wouldn't run a slug inside the house just because of the overpenetration stuff. So we're talking about 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. Let's say we're shooting double-aught buck. Depending on what shell you're using, that's between 9 and 12 pellets. Generally, I mean, there's like 3.5 inch, which is going to shoot like 15. But you take that 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy and you divide it by the pellets. So each pellet only carries a fraction of the total kinetic energy instead of having it all wadded together like in a slug, right? So therefore, it bleeds off the kinetic energy quick. So you're bringing 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy on a target, and it's going to be absorbed into the target because those pellets are going to stop. Anytime your projectile goes through the target, it's carrying kinetic energy with it. So let's pretend I shoot that target with a slug. The slug's going through. It's going to carry a bunch of kinetic energy with it. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're talking about, what, a half-inch hole? Well, I can't remember exactly, but it's roughly around a half-inch hole punched through your target. Yeah, definitely. That is going to put that target down. Now, the problem is it's going to carry kinetic energy with it, so it has more energy to continue to do damage on things behind that target. Buckshot, that's not how it's working. The buckshot's going to go in, boom! Ideally, most, if not all, the balls are going to stop inside the target, so it's delivered 100% of the 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy on that target, and it's done. Now, a lot of people probably will ask, well, what about birdshot? Wouldn't that be ideal? Look, if you're in an apartment building and you want to have something other than harsh words to fend off an attacker, birdshot is a way to go. That isn't guaranteeing a kill, but that will generally stop if you actually hit the target. Now, if you hit like your drywall, it's probably going through the wall and it's probably going to kill your neighbor's baby. But if you're actually hitting the target, it's almost guaranteed that any pellets that don't hit the target are not going to do any kind of damage, because now you're talking about 3,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. I don't actually know the kinetic energy off the top of my head for buckshot, but you remember it's payload times velocity. Mass times velocity squared. That's what kinetic energy is. So it doesn't matter what the payload is. If it weighs the same, and typically birdshot does, you're looking at 3/4 of an ounce to 1 ounce, moving at the same speed of a slug, so you get the same exact kinetic energy. Anyway, if any of those pellets miss, it's like 1/100th of that 3,000, so that pellet might only have 30 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. So should it miss, it's only going to impact the wall with 30 foot-pounds. So even if it does go through the wall somehow, it's probably got not enough killing power to get. So yes, you could use birdshot in an apartment, and that would probably be the only type of firearm I'd want to use in the apartment. I'd want to be less than lethal or something like that. But if I want a gun, I'm probably going to take a 12 gauge with buckshot, because no matter which direction you point it, it's not a safe direction. But I also don't want to just have harsh words to try to defend against an attacker. So usually like baseball bats or something like that is more ideal. Maybe that's when you pull out the sword. I don't know. That's your choice to make, not my choice. I'm just telling you the options. I'm not saying which choice is better to make. This is just the options going across the table, okay? All right. So, boosh. The next thing we're going to talk about with shotguns before we get into really 20 gauge versus 12 gauge is ammunition. The 3 types of ammunition you're going to want to use is slug, buck, or bird. Do not use other ammunition. I got into shotguns hardcore. I mean hardcore. And anything I could fit inside that shotgun shell, I tested. So what did I test? What are the really, really bad ones? I tested flechettes. Whatever they say on the internet, I'm telling you, it is not true. They don't penetrate worth a shit. They don't put enough energy on the target. Without a doubt, buckshot does way more damage than flechettes. Like, exponentially. Buckshot will go through a steel barrel. I shot the flechettes at the steel barrel and it wouldn't even go through there. Don't use flechettes, and they spread like crazy. I don't know if it's because they're finned or what the deal is, but I'd have a nice buckshot group like this. Flechettes, I'd have like maybe 2, because I could fit, I think it was like 30 flechettes I could fit inside a shell. And then if I spun them, no, it was 15 flechettes I could have standing up in a shell. But if I also put another 15 upside down because of the fins, I could fit a maximum of 30. Regardless if I put 30 or 15 in the shell, where I'd have a nice group like this with buckshot, I'd only have maybe 1 or 2 flechettes inside there, and the rest just went everywhere. Like, there was no controllability at all. They spread like wild men. Don't use flechettes. They just don't work. I used steel ball bearings. I'm like, you know what? Lead is great. You know what would be even better? Chrome-plated steel ball bearings. That's basically armor piercing. Like, this is going to be amazing. So when lead hits a target, it hits and disperses its energy. If it can't penetrate the target, it splatters and then spreads out. That energy just dissipates with spalling and stuff like that. That absolutely does not happen with a steel ball bearing. What the steel ball bearing does is it hits the target. If it can't penetrate in, it comes back. And when it comes back, it hurts. And it can be lethal. Do not load your shotgun shells up with steel ball bearings. Regardless of size, I'm telling you that is a bad idea. At some point, you're going to get injured, because at some point, you're going to shoot something where it can't penetrate all the way through, and it's going to come back at you. I'm not going to go into detail what happened, but trust me, it will happen to you. Another thing I tried was peppercorn. I'm like, you know what? Not only will they be bleeding out on my floor for trying to kill me, and they forfeited their life, they're going to have a face full of pepper. Well, it doesn't work. The peppercorn completely gets like vaporized while the shell's accelerating, and you have a cloud of pepper in front of you, and that cloud just comes right back over you. Terrible idea. Do not put peppercorn in your shotgun shells. You're going to regret it. Next one. Dimes. I seen the movie, I can't think of, Regulators? What is that movie? I can't think of the name of the movie. Anyways, they loaded dimes in the shotgun, and they shot somebody. It makes a cool sound. It's like, woo! But the penetration, that's just awful. Don't do dimes. Next one you're probably thinking is wax slugs. Now, this one actually had a place. The wax slugs did not do that bad. Like, they were basically a frangible shot. So I could shoot a target and all the energy would disperse, but I could still penetrate the target like a slug, if that makes sense. So if you're taking out a lock or something like that, like, it has merit. The problem is wax melts at a low temperature. So when I'd have these shotgun shells in my range bag or whatever, out there on the range, once it got above, I think it was like 80 degrees or something like that, the wax would start melting and leaking out. Plus, they're not reliable. So you're killing the reliability. You have to put the wax inside of a shotgun shell. So you either have to do like I did and make a jig and you form it outside, inside the wadding, and then you put the wadding and the shot inside the shell, or you need to try to pour it inside of a live shell, but the hot wax, if you get it too hot, it'll run past the wadding and contaminate the powder. Plus, then the top's open. Yeah, wax slugs, they actually bring something to the table that slugs, buckshot, and bird don't, but your reliability takes a shit, and it's finicky. If you're looking for serious shotgun work, slugs, buck, or bird is what you're going to want to go with. Nothing else. Stay with those. All right, so let's compare it. The 12 gauge is the AR-15 of the shotgun. Because there's just so much ammunition and it's such a wide platform, if you're an American, you need to own a shotgun. I'm telling you this, that you need to own one. Yeah, even if you don't use it, like it's the perfect house defense weapon, great for varmint hunting, you can take down medium game. It is the AR-15 of the shotguns. So how do they compare? What are we looking at here? For recoil, 20 gauge takes it. Now you can go with light recoil 12 gauge, but if you're running light recoil 20 gauge, the light recoil 20 gauge is going to be lighter. Basically, apples to apples, because the 20 gauge is going to have less of a payload, you're still going to get the velocity, but it's not going to have the recoil. Again, you could go with light recoil 12 gauge, but you can also go with light recoil 20 gauge, and there's just so many different types of the ammo. The only way to truly compare it is just take the same exact ammo, 20 gauge is going to be lighter. Next one, power. Without a doubt, you can run way more power out of a 12 gauge. You can run bigger payloads and bigger charges than you can with a 20 gauge. It's going to put more energy on the target. Ammo availability. Without a doubt, 12 gauge takes that one too. Yes, 20 gauge does have a lot of ammo. You can get slugs, buck, and birdshot, but not as much as 12 gauge. All those specialty rounds like copper-plated slugs and military rounds and military surplus ammo, and 12 gauge is going to take it. Ammo availability, without a doubt, 12 gauge plus. In a survival situation, let's pretend somehow you don't have a rifle and you are using a shotgun as a survival. I would bet money if I went into 5 of the houses in my area, at least 2 of them would have 12 gauge shotgun shells. Regardless of bird or what, they're going to have 12 gauge shotgun shells. 20 gauge, they may or may not have. They're going to have 12 gauge. All right, gun weight. This is another one where the 20 gauge takes it. The 20 gauge is a lighter gun. It's just smaller parts, lighter ammunition. It is ideal for youth, small frame people, stuff like that. 20 gauge beats the 12 gauge on the weight. Now again, you can get light 12 gauges, but you can also get light 20 gauges. Apples to apples, 20 gauge is going to be a lighter one. All right, pattern density. So let's pretend you're doing waterfall or bird hunting. How many pellets are inside of a pattern matters. They call it pattern density. I don't know why I can't say that word, so we're just going to skip over it. But you know what I'm trying to say. A 12 gauge is going to have a tighter pattern a thicker pattern why can't I say it? The 12 gauge is going to have more pellets inside of an area than a 20 gauge is going to because it has the bigger payload. Same with buckshot, there's going to be more pellets inside of the area. With slugs, well, you know, it's kind of evening out. Gun options. Without a doubt, 12 gauge takes that one. There are more 12 gauges out there, like the Benelli M4. As far as I know, you can't even get that in a 20 gauge. You can get everything from hunting 12 gauge to self-defense 12 gauge to double barrel 12 gauge, single barrel, semi-automatic 12 gauge. You can get pretty much anything you can dream up in a shotgun in a 12 gauge. That is not the case with a 20 gauge. There's just a 20 gauge is more of an afterthought when they're building a shotgun. They're like, all right, so we know everybody wants a 12 gauge. This is what we're going to build it in. If this does really well, we might sprout off a 20 gauge option. But otherwise, 12 gauge is where we're going to live. So gun options, without a doubt, 12 gauge takes it. Gun versatility. Without a doubt, 12 gauge takes it. Again, because there's just more options. You can get more ammunition. You can get more types of shotguns. The 12 gauge is going to take it. Ease of use, 20 gauge is going to take that. A 20 gauge is going to be an easier shotgun to use. It's lighter recoil, lighter ammunition, just period, across the board, 20 gauge is easier to use. As a matter of fact, the first deer I actually got was with a 20 gauge slug. I work in a cornfield, peek out on the row, nope, not a deer there, peek out on the next row, nope. Bam, there he is. Get ready. It was a break action. Cock that hammer back. I can't go into detail because those YouTube will remove this video and say I'm promoting violence or something crazy like that, but I got that deer. That was amazing. That gun was super light. It was just a break action 20 gauge with a hammer, a single bead sight, super easy for me to figure out. Yeah, later I got a rifle, and I could have asked for a 12 gauge, but I was comfortable with the 20 gauge. Just a great gun. It worked perfect for a new hunter. So, all in all, yeah, you know what? Have a 20 gauge. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're only going to have one shotgun, that's it. Unless you're super tiny, I recommend a 12 gauge. It's just going to serve you better. There's more options, more parts, more ammunition, more payload you can put on target. Overall, again, it's the better of the two shotguns. Now, if you'd like to help support the channel, but you don't want to shop at Only Tactical Fans and buy cool stuff like this badass t-shirt or tourniquets or other survival gear, the next best way to do that is shopping at or clicking on that Amazon affiliate link. Just by clicking on that link. Even if you don't buy what that link is for, just clicking on it. Doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. I have a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.